All righty, it's that special time. Thank you everybody for joining the webinar today. Today we have a special webinar. This is one of the most popular in the SOCAST webinar series, where we ask the experts. Today I have two of our partners who are joining us. I have Kay Jolie, who's a digital media manager, as well as Katie Kelly. A little bit about the two experts that are on the panel today. Katie has been in radio for over 23 years. She has held a number of numerous roles, but is right now the digital director at Woodward Community Media in Northeast Wisconsin. Katie is a phenom in her own right. She has managed digital teams for a very long time. She works in virtually every digital channel available, from SEO to marketing to social management, graphic design, you name it. Katie is phenomenal at her job. She has won a boatload of awards for Woodward over the years at the Association of Broadcasters, including best websites, best contests, best content, and continues to shine in the social space as well as on the digital side. And then Kay Jolie is the second member of the panel today. Kay has been working in digital for over a decade. She's a seasoned digital media creator, designer, advertising strategist, and virtually single-handedly manages the entire content strategy for her stations. I am so lucky to have both of them joining me today. And my name is Ilan Sibilia. For those of you who don't know me yet, I am the sales director here at SOCAST. I joined SOCAST back in 2016 and have been working ever since to help radio grow and make digital growth easy for broadcasters. And before we get into the questions, which we have so many good questions to review, quickly, if you're not familiar with SOCAST, if we haven't had a conversation yet, and you're joining just to learn a little bit more about how you can do better on the digital side, SOCAST right now is the leading digital system for broadcasters, allowing them to not only create more meaningful and better content and engage their listeners through every digital channel, but also being able to monetize those channels and really create meaningful revenue opportunities for the stations that they work at. That being said, this is not about me. This is about the questions that our audience has sent out and wanted to know more about how they can do better on the digital side. So without further ado, I'm going to stop sharing my screen here and we can get into the first question, which was, I'm a new brand manager and I joined radio about 5 years ago. I love designing my website. Do you have any beginner advice? Where can I, what can I do to make this a better experience for my listeners and for my audience?
Kay, do you want to take this first or you want me to roll with it?
Yeah, sure. So my first piece of advice is go into your analytics and see where your most popular pages are. You want to make sure that people can find the information that they're looking for the most right when they get to your website. And make sure you're also designing for mobile. Like when Google is like looking and scrolling your site, like they want to make sure that your site is optimized for mobile because people are, on their phones, on their tablets, they're doing whatever. So what might look good on your computer screen might not actually look great on your phone. So just make sure you're testing your site on a bunch of different platforms. Make sure that the information that people are looking for is easily available and easy to find and looks good. It looks good.
Yeah, I would second that. One of the great things with SOCAST is that you have the ability to preview your web pages both in a desktop space and in a mobile space. I myself forget to preview things in a mobile space quite often. Then I publish something and then I go to the preview and I'm like, I need to change that. But at least for us, about 80% of our website traffic comes in a mobile space. So it's really, really important that things look good in that way. Most people are looking through apps, just as Kay said, apps, tablets, through their phone, they're scrolling on everything. So having that is super important. I would also say in a very basic SEO standpoint, try to use similar language throughout your website. Take a look at, you can use AI to help you search for specific keywords and phrases that are relative to your market, that are relative to the radio stations that you have, and try to utilize those throughout your website, putting them both in the website settings, in the little blurb that you can put at the bottom of each of your pages, using them in your tags, keeping in mind that when you're using your tags, think about those not as hashtags, but think about them as search terms, and using keywords and phrases, and just keeping that consistent throughout your website. Those are probably the biggest things that I would say. And take a look at other radio station websites and see what they're doing. See what do you like? What do you not like? Ask people in your building, ask your friends to navigate through the website, have them search for specific things and see if they can find them quickly and easily. And if they can't, change it. And if they can, leave it how it is, and be updating that stuff fairly regularly. Like, try to go through about once a year, just make sure that tags are working, make sure that links aren't broken, make sure things are loading properly. Those are probably the basic steps I would take.
That's fantastic advice. Thank you, ladies. And it's my 2 cents on that. I would definitely say, just know your audience, right? Like, know who you're creating content for, know who you're building towards, and kind of plan your content around that knowledge. And similar to what Kay was saying, leverage your analytics to really kind of identify success where you can find it, so you can reproduce it more easily. And in a similar vein, kind of figure out what content is not resonating with your listeners, and pivot away from that, and really try to lock down consistently what is meaningful to your audience and what is resonating with them. The next question, which I really loved, was what do you see as the future for AM and FM radio compared to digital media?
I think that, so digital media is everywhere, right? If you can find it when you're standing at the gas station, pumping your gas, walking through an airport, going into a grocery store, on a website, on your phone, whatever. Digital media is everywhere, and radio has the capability to be everywhere as long as it's serving in those spaces as well. But the one thing that radio has that digital just has not been able to figure out in a large scale space, right? Like, social media has influencers, but you don't have that in display advertising or in geofencing. So utilize the things that you actually do have, your individual personalities that are in your community, that are invested in your community. That's what people connect to. Study after study after study shows us that in a broadcast space, the thing that continues to grow, that people continue to connect to, is the actual on-air personalities and their authenticity. And in a world of advertising, and in a world of AI and very non-genuine spaces, having that genuine, authentic personality that you can span across multiple platforms and multiple tactics is the key to what radio is going to be and will continue to grow in. And that's what we can offer that nobody else has. And that's where I think our strength is going to lie, in a digital space and in a broadcast space.
I fully agree. Like, when it comes, like, the internet right now and digital, it's like all algorithms and, feeds. And what radio has that's so special is like this trust halo. So it's like, trust is often tied to like the brand itself, or like technically your on-airs are influencers, which is kind of icky to say, but like they are. And people trust your brand more. And when it comes to digital, like, people don't trust Facebook. So it's like, or, any kind of digital ads, like, I think what radio has is so special because it's just, people believe it and they form connections and with like your on-air hosts. And I think that's, one of the biggest strengths that radio has, that, and, the cost efficiency, and, the reach is just unparalleled. So
Totally. I mean, and by and far, you look at every Borrell report, everything that comes out from, Cumulus to Westwood One, again and again, radio consistently comes out at the top for the number one highest reach medium across the demographics that we're looking to target. So, I mean, definitely the consistency is there, and really, having that local component and really having that trust factor, like you both said, is really what we see is an integral part of radio success. And not not to kind of go backwards on the question a little bit, but really kind of trying to remove that dividing line between AM, FM, and digital, and just looking at radio as, radio is more than just a knob. Radio is podcasts, and radio is smart speakers, and radio is a mobile app, and radio is all of these channels that like our world has exploded into, and now gives us more access and more connection points than ever to the audience.
Yeah, I want to, if I can just add to what you're saying, Elon, because 100%, I think that there's this divide between broadcast and digital, right? And it's not the case. Like, radio can go across multiple channels. It's just a different delivery system. It's the same way that if I'm telling you something, I can tell you that thing face to face. I can tell you over the phone. I can write a letter. I can send you a text. I can send you an email, a chat. We can get on a video call. I'm still telling you something. I'm just using a different channel to tell it. Radio are the original influencers. We are the original storytellers. We are the connection point. We just now have the ability to connect across more than just one signal. We have the ability to connect across multiple platforms in a way that we've never had that capability before. So it's just a matter of figuring out how that platform talks and speaking in that language.
Absolutely. Now, this is a question that I'm going to rely a little bit more on both of you for. I love this question, and I think a lot of broadcasters are asking it. We're so good at helping other people market themselves. We've dropped the ball on marketing us. How can we do better?
I say just like apply the same rules that you're giving your clients. So it's like run ads for yourself. If it's, what you're doing in the community, if it's whatever, start like social media channels for your brands and make sure, like, we have radio stations and then we're owned by an overall company. So we made a whole account for Starboard Communications, and we post behind the scenes stuff. We post, when we show up in the community for not-for-profit events, we give marketing tips. We make kind of like silly trending videos and it's just, you have to take what you tell your clients and just do it for yourself too. And it's just, so we run like search engine marketing ads for our news websites. We run display ads, to encourage people to download our mobile apps. We have, we do all those things as well. So it's like, you just have to market yourselves as well, and take the time to build out a strategy and a whole plan for your whole year, just as you would want your clients to also do.
Your brand is your business.
Yep. Absolutely. Utilize the testimonials from your advertising partners as well. When you have a client that says, "Oh my God, this campaign that I ran, it worked so well," figure out how to turn that into a marketing campaign for yourself. But the biggest thing is, just like Kay said, like, what do you recommend for your partners? That's what you should be doing as well. If you are recommending display campaigns for a specific reason, run a display campaign. And what better test case than our own channels? What better test case than to say, we believe in this product so much that we ran our own marketing, and here's the results that we got from this. Why don't you try XYZ thing as well? You might get similar results, or we can adapt this campaign to fit your needs. I think radio has a tendency to not spend money on itself. And I think the reality is we need to spend money on ourselves, but we don't always have the ability to spend money on ourselves. And that's where social media is the free marketing channel. 100% free to be organic about things. Post stuff, try stuff, see what works. Look at the numbers. Not everything is going to hit every time. Not everything is going to bomb every time. So just try stuff.
100% agree. This was also a fantastic one. This was a question that we got in multiple different iterations. What are some tips on maximizing digital engagement across the board? And what are some examples of real life success stories or failures, and what created those outcomes?
Social media in particular is such an engagement-based space. Every bit of the reach and the impressions that you get are based in the way that you are engaging with your audience. And I think one of the biggest mistakes that I see people make is just to post something and then walk away from it. There are people in there asking questions and you're not responding to those questions. Like, if someone called the station, you would never just put them on hold and be like, okay, see you later, I'll get back to you. You would answer their questions and you would continue to answer the phone. But for whatever reason, we don't treat social media in the same way. And that's how people communicate with us now. So treating that like it's a real thing and a real line of communication, and then utilizing some of that stuff. I remember one time we gave away concert tickets for something for one of our concerts on one of our stations. And we had an audience member, that won a pair of tickets come back, be like, oh my God, that was the greatest thing. I went to this show, blah, blah, blah. Well, our tagline is your concert leader. So we asked for permission, but we took a screenshot of his message and our message back and forth. And we used that as user generated content and posted that to our page. And we're like, Razor is your concert leader. Congratulations to so-and-so. Glad you had a great time. Here's all the concerts we have coming up. Here's all the concert tickets we're getting ready to give away tickets to. And then the comments were coming in, oh, I won tickets to this show and it was so much fun. And then we responded back.
Easy.
And that's the biggest thing, is just take the time to actually respond. I know that's really hard in a land where we're all wearing 20 different hats, and sometimes just taking that 30 minutes to respond to comments is 30 minutes that you're taking away from something else. But again, to go back to the previous question of marketing ourselves, the best way to market yourself is that firsthand communication and that word of mouth. And the best way to provide that is great customer service and great connections with your audience. And social media is a free space to do that.
Yeah, I totally agree. I'd also like to add, I always schedule 10 to 15 minutes every day to go through each of my station's feeds and start commenting on other businesses who are clients, not-for-profits, even just whatever's showing up in the station's feeds. I want to make sure that the businesses and other people see that we are also engaging with their content, because it just keeps us top of mind, and hopefully
That's a great point.
Remember us.
Yeah, that's phenomenal. One thing that, just moving over from the engagement standpoint, a lot of people are also asking a lot of revenue-based questions and just asking, how do we monetize digital? So one of the things that I wanted to get into, is what are some new ways to monetize the station's website and generate revenue? How are you guys making money today? Is it through your player? Is it through your station site? Is it through the app? Is it a combination? How do we turn digital from a cost center into a revenue center?
Yeah, we do Google Ads on all of our websites. So we have Google Ads set up on the station sites, on our news website, and it's just passive income, which is kind of great. When it comes to using our content, we can take on-air bits and put them into blog posts and turn it into a podcast, and then we can sponsor out that podcast to any business, really. When it comes to streaming, we could have ads that play before people get into our radio stream, and that's an income stream too. There's so many things. Anything that you think of that is on a website, you could be okay, my mobile app is brought to you by so-and-so Dodge, or whatever car company, or you can literally sponsor out pop-up messages being okay, I'm going to send a push notification offering all of our people who have our mobile app, a $5 car wash. And you can sell that to your clients if you want to. There's really just if you have a section in your website, try to sponsor it out. You have a community calendar, great. Your community calendar is brought to you by XYZ Realtor. They love that stuff.
Yeah, I would echo that. We use Google Ads as well for our websites for owned and operated. And we actually about 2 years ago, changed the pricing structure for those to where we used to just have kind of a flat rate, which we still have, but it's based differently. It's now based on our CPMs. So we pull, which is cost per milli, cost per thousand. So for every 1,000 impressions, it's so much. And what we found before that is that our news talk station, which is our smaller station, was actually having significantly larger website page views than our largest station. We have a 100,000 watt station and a 10,000 watt station, and the 100,000 watt station was bringing in about 500,000 page views a year, and the 12,000 watt, 10,000 watt station was bringing in about 1 million page views a year. And we were charging more to be on the larger station than to be on the smaller station, but the clients were getting more value out of being on the smaller station because a news station is constantly churning out information, so constantly bringing people back to the website. So we changed our pricing structure and based everything on a like $5 CPM model for that. So any of our advertising spots, like the leaderboards that show up on the top of the website or the sidebar advertisements, we have a higher rate for our news talk station than we do for our largest station. We've got the website pre-rolls as well. We also work with Google AdSense, so we get pennies on the dollar when we have open inventory, which adds up. We probably get about $400 or $500 a year on that. It's not a ton, but we're literally doing nothing for that except for having open inventory. And when that inventory is closed, we don't make any money. And when the inventory is open and we have to do absolutely nothing, we make pennies on the dollar. Also, we run partnership Facebook ads. A lot of times just having that brand recognition and connection of running a Facebook ad through one of our channels. So it's 95.9 KISS FM with local animal rescue. That puts it into people's feeds that normally wouldn't see it based on the Facebook algorithm. And it also has that KISS and animal rescue. And if I love KISS, now I'm paying attention to the animal rescue. We also run lead generation campaigns, which have been really, really successful. It's basically just having one of the forms on the website, allowing the client to ask 3 to 5 questions along with email opt-in at the bottom. And then offering an incentive of like $500 Visa gift card or something provided by the client to go to one lucky winner who filled out the information. We have found significant value in that and being able to provide real market data and information to the client, along with any of those opt-in emails, being able to provide those numbers to those actual email addresses to the client to be able to add to their email accounts. We actually had TDS Fiber. They recently had a conversation with one of our sales reps who said that they had more qualified leads through our lead generation campaigns than through the national campaigns that they run. Because you have actual humans in your market where our station is saying, hey, answer these couple of questions. Yeah, that was awesome to hear. And those have brought in really good money. We don't really, here's the information of the person. Here's a couple of questions on the website. It runs for like 2 weeks. If you want to have broadcast advertising that goes with it, you can add on to that, but it doesn't come as part of the package. If you want to include digital advertising, you can do that. It doesn't come as part of the package. It's literally the questions and a Facebook ad to push it out. And that's it. So there's opportunities to add on to it, but those, I think we charge like $1,500 for each of those for a 2-week run. So plus the price. So we make some pretty solid money on those when those come in. And just things like that. And like Kay said, like there's so many opportunities in a digital space. Sponsor a video, sponsor an article, sponsor the news feed, sponsor the podcast or the on-demand audio or the homepage or the concert calendar or whatever it is. If it's on there, you can sell it.
No, that's phenomenal feedback, and I love that. I'm sure if you got a testimonial from that company just regarding the lead quality status, like you guys would probably have that slot filled for the whole year.
Yep.
And it's something that we discuss with our partners as well. It's with cookies kind of disappearing and really broadcasters and everybody else kind of focusing on first party data, one of the things that we really, push to our broadcast partners that use the SoCast platform is anything that any contest that you run, ask a question, run polls constantly, get information, because you could take that data, dissect it, segment it out, and find a specific demo to share to your sales team to say, hey guys, we ran a contest last month to give away a set of snow tires. We asked a question, when was the last time you bought a pair of snow tires? 1,400 people, they said they haven't bought a new pair in the last 5 years. One person is going to win them. That's still 1,399 other people that need to buy snow tires. Why aren't you guys running ads on the website and on the mobile app for 15% off snow tires for the next month? And watch how much business rolls in from this. Leveraging that data is an incredibly important component when it comes to managing the sales process and driving revenue from these digital tools that you guys manage. And similarly, you want to be able to create categories for multiple different kinds of businesses. Open up a classified section on the page. Allow users to generate that content. It's no work on your end other than approving or rejecting these posts. But now you can find a sponsor for an automotive section and an ag section and a retail section and an electronics section. Obituaries are one of the most popularly visited pages, as morbid as it seems, on radio station websites. We have florists, we have insurance, we have lawyers in every town and in every city that are so ready to jump on sponsorships for these pages. And literally one of these investors turns your entire your web cost for the quarter into a zero cost. Now everything is gravy. And so, there are so many opportunities to start driving and creating digital revenue channels. It's all about identifying the inventory that you have and then creating expectations for it. One of the other questions, how do we best train our salespeople to embrace digital? I think this is also a really important question because sometimes it feels like pushing, like Sisyphus pushing a boulder up a never-ending mountain. How do we convince these sales guys that digital is important and that there are customers out there that want to buy it?
Oh, if you could answer that question. Honestly, I would love to say, oh, it's so easy and here's what you do and it's the simplest process. But this is probably the thing that I slam my head into a wall about on a regular basis. And I think just kind of realizing that there's some people that just aren't going to come around. And instead of trying to fight them and push them, find the ones who are interested and start working on them. Start working on the ones that are like, oh, well, what's this? Oh, I can make money this way. Well, what if I tried this? And start that kind of education space. Once you get one and that one starts making money, then the next one comes in and they start making money. Yes. And the next one comes in and they start making money. This has been probably our biggest struggle, but we've got one sales rep that, she just excels in a digital space and she's bringing in hundreds of thousands of dollars in digital advertising on a regular basis. And now she's become that kind of peer leader to the other sales reps. We've got 12 total. And she, again, she kind of took that head spot to it and was just asking a lot of questions. And now there's probably 5 or 6 more that are really starting to like, oh, well, what if I did this? So she said to do this. What do you think? And then just kind of allowing them in that educational space to come through and giving yourself enough grace to know that there's always going to be 1 or 2 or 3 that are just, I've been selling radio for 30 years. I'm retiring in 5 years and I don't want to do it. And you can push them and fight with them and waste all your energy on pushing and fighting them. Or you can say, you know what, that's money you're going to lose on the table. So enjoy losing that money and put your energy into the other spaces. They'll slowly start to come around because at the end of the day, they want to make more money. So they'll slowly start to come around. I know that's not the best answer in the world, but it's the best.
It's realistic. It's the reality. It's the reality. Yeah. There's a lot of salespeople out there that are, in their late 60s, early 70s, walking around with a BlackBerry that still think the internet's a fad. And you know what? Unfortunately, odds are they're probably one of some of your top billers for radio. Mm-hmm. And it's like, you know what? Like, it ain't broke. Like, just go sell what you're good at. And if somebody asks about digital, call Jennifer.
Yep.
Yeah. Make sure you have somebody in the office who kind of understands all of it and can do it. And if they ask questions, make sure that, you know, your sales reps can be like, okay, I'll call this person, and it's great. But like specifically, if you're onboarding new staff, look for marketers in general. Like, don't just look for a radio sales rep. Look for somebody who has like all around marketing experience, because, you know, radio and digital campaigns, they just go together so well, and they work so well together, that if you can get someone who's like willing to like, you know, learn and willing to like educate themselves, and, you know, that's an invaluable resource, and person too. Like,
I'd also recommend.
Sorry, go ahead, Kate.
I was going to say, I'd also recommend hiring someone specific to digital. I think we have this idea in our head that selling digital is super easy, and it's not hard, and it's so easy to understand. And it is to an extent, but there's a lot of caveats to all of it. There's a lot of additional steps in a digital world that don't exist in a broadcast space. In a broadcast space, it's here, I want this commercial, I want this many ads to run from this day to this day, write the copy. You can usually voice it, find music for it, produce it, and get it running in a few hours. Digital is a different ballgame. You're looking for video creative, you're looking for graphic creative, and those take time. They take additional information. They take additional information from the client. They take approvals that don't always exist in a broadcast space. And they take a little bit more time, and there's different caveats to it. You know, I think we have this, when you've sold radio forever, you're used to saying, you have this person you're trying to reach, and this person listens to this station, so the best place to advertise is right here. In a digital space, you're saying, who are you trying to reach? We can target any of them. What are they interested in? We can get them. So you've got an entire sales force that's used to taking information and putting it through a broadcast lens to what station fits best, that now is taking it and going, oh yeah, we can do that. Yeah, we can hit that zip code for this age range and this gender with these 5 interests, and we can run it from this day to this day, and it'll appear on this many websites. You know what I mean? So it's a different space, and trying to pretend that it's not is going to set you up for failure. Having someone that has a specialty and an expertise in understanding programmatic tactics and understanding the creatives that go behind that digital space will go a long way in educating your entire sales force and in bringing in new clients.
Absolutely. And really, I mean, I think it starts with, you know, if you're really dipping your toe and you're really, you know, this is the beginning of a journey, like, I think it really starts with a discussion about, you know, what ads do you see in your life on a daily basis? You know, when you load up LinkedIn, or when you're, you know, scrolling Instagram with the kids on the couch at night, or, you know, you're at the gas pump and there's a little screen on the pump while you're waiting. You know, what are you seeing? Look, you know, doing some research, understanding what your competition offers goes a long way, because that will likely tell you what's important to the advertisers in your market. You know, starting small, realizing that there are 50 different programmatic tactics out there that you can, you know, launch at any given time. But, you know, if you look at the numbers, 80+% of all programmatic sales are either for display or social. So, you know, don't feed the sales team with a fire hose. Like, get them used to what they will probably be selling most of the time. Get them used to the language. Get them used to having the curiosity that they're going to need, and the empathy to understand, like what Katie said, not this is what you need, but being able to ask, what is your goal? You know, are you looking for awareness? Are you looking for people to consider you? Are you looking for conversion tactics? Are you looking for somebody to buy something right now, or sign up for something, or take advantage of a sale? You know, and based on that, you know, being able to go in and consultatively create not just, you know, a radio sale, but a multimedia marketing campaign for each and every one of your advertisers will go a tremendous way in finding success early on with selling digital. This was one of my favorite questions, and I really want to, and I'm glad we still have time for it. You know, Gen Z has grown up in a totally digital world and is uninterested in AM, FM, and web radio. How do you get them interested?
I don't know. I kind of disagree with that. I have a Gen Z.
I do too, but I want to hear from you. I don't want to bias this at all until you guys answer a little.
I just show up where the kids are, like that's what it is. It's like show up where that generation is. So it's like, make it super easy for them to find you on mobile. Like make sure you have apps that work. Make sure they're easy to use. Lean into your socials, make your on airs, like make them do the cringy things. They're gonna fight you, but like that's what works, and kids think it's funny. Like I don't know what the 6-7 thing is, but like it's everywhere. Like make funny like, make your radio segments into a podcast. Like your morning shows, your afternoon shows, like those are funny people. Like if you have contest plays, people are winning fun things. People love to hear like gameplays or people winning like prizes. It's like take those segments, like have whoever cut them up and make them into a podcast, so people can re-listen to them. I don't know, lean into what's happening locally. Everyone's like, oh, boring, like there's nothing to do here, but they can be like, oh my god, my coworker's laughing at me. But it's like like make a space where people can be like, okay, like cool, like here's what's happening in our community. Like do what you do, just be weird, and people, like the kids will love it or hate it, but either way they're talking about you, it doesn't matter.
Before Katie answers, I'll tell you, just leaning into that because it's funny. Yesterday, literally, the kids are all trying to figure out what to wear for Halloween, and I went into the garage and I cut out a big number 7 from a cardboard box, and I taped it to myself, and I put an ice pack on my head, and I put my arm in a sling. And I said, "This is what I'm going to be for Halloween." And they're like, "What are you?" And I said, "I'm a sick 7." And like they all super cringed, but like they all pulled out their phones and took pictures of it and sent it to their friends. And they're like, "Oh, my dad, he's so dumb." But like, do the dumb thing. Like that's how you're gonna get.
Yeah, I mean, I agree. I disagree with the premise that they're not interested in our world, in the radio world. I think they are. We're just not meeting them where they are. They like don't even know that it exists as an option because there's more channels they can go to now, right? They're not coming to us for new music because they find new music on TikTok or they find new music on whatever social media. They're not coming to us for their playlist because they find that on Spotify or iTunes or wherever they get their playlist. But they are coming to us for connection when they know we exist. We just have to be where they are. I think in the almost 4 years now that I've been in radio, I know that there's been so many times where my bosses would say, well, I don't care what the 18-year-old wants because they're not buying from us. I want to hit that person that's 25 to whatever. And I would argue, because I'm an arguer, and I would argue and be like, but they're going to be 25 in 7 years and they're not going to listen because there's all these other things they can do and blah, 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 blah. And now here we are in a space where that's exactly what we're finding is that we haven't communicated with those kids. One of the things that we've done that I think has been really, really successful is like we run a promotion called Kiss Your Concessions, where our top 40 station goes and runs the concession stand at a local football game or soccer game or basketball game, and our partner with that provides a donation to their after school activities. We just did the second year in a row, we did a high school mascot bracket challenge where we just had local high schools mascots pitted up against each other in a regular bracket space. The first year we did it, we had like 800,000 votes over the course of a 6-week campaign. It was disgusting. Like all of us were like, this is disgusting. Like, this is ridiculous. We ran it across 6 stations, but then there was a donation that went with it. We gave one of our pool companies provided us with cold plunge tubs. So we gave a cold plunge tub to the winner. This year, we gave them like a $5,000 endowment in order to go to their extracurricular activities. And it's just this really fun, super easy way to get involved at that very early level to where kids are now, they're coming to our website because they want to vote on their high school. Their parents are coming to our website because they want to vote. They're listening in their car on their way to work or school because they want to hear about this mascot thing that's happening. And we're going and we're engaging with them and we're dropping off the money and we're engaging with their mascot and their football team and their cheerleaders. And once you get in and they get to know your personality, they're coming to you for things. They may not be coming in the way that you're used to from 25 years ago, but they're coming to your Facebook page. They're coming to your TikTok account or your Instagram account. They're listening to your podcast or your on-demand audio or your stream or whatever. They're coming to you once you let them know that you're there. If all you're ever doing is staying inside of the studio and not going out to events, and when you're at events, you're standing behind a prize wheel with koozies and t-shirts and thinking that's enough, it's not. You have to put yourself out there. That's how you get them involved and interested and paying attention.
Love that answer. And really, I mean, I think, like we were saying, earlier, how radio has gone kind of beyond AM and FM and web. Like, these people are still they're interested in radio, but they may not be coming to radio for the music discovery, but Spotify isn't doing these unique or exclusive interviews with their favorite artists. Radio is doing that. iTunes or Apple Music isn't giving away concert tickets to go see their favorite shows. Radio is, and putting that power, shouting it out on social where these people are looking at you on Twitter and on Facebook saying, download the app. We have exclusive content for app users. Come register to win contest tickets. Come register to get an exclusive meet and greet, or even just tell us what you want us to do next. This is the input that you can leverage into contest registrations, into giving data to the sales team, into getting more engagement with more people. Like, this is that cyclical effect where, success breeds success. And really we find that once you find where your users are looking for you, as long as you are engaging in a meaningful way through those channels, that's where you're going to drive interest. And that's, again, like that is still radio. That is still success on the radio side, albeit through a different channel. But lastly, don't try to be everything to everyone, I think is also something that kind of gets lost in the shuffle. Like we think we know our demos, and our demos are different between who's listening on air versus who's listening on a desktop versus who's using a mobile app. And so tailoring your content strategy to each one of those different channels, I think, is also going to go a long way into driving success and more engagement in each one of those ways. We got a number of questions actually while we were on the webinar right now. And so I wanted to go through a couple of these because some of these are really good questions too. We've got about just under 20 minutes, but what are the key differences between a radio broadcast and a podcast, for those of us that are repurposing that content? And what's the biggest challenge that you guys find in trying to use that content digitally?
So to me, I think podcasts and reused broadcast are two different things. A podcast is a podcast. It's specific to a digital space that is talking to that audience. It's just a conversation. Now you can take that podcast and you can place it on the radio, but it goes out in a digital space first. Right. Then there's on-demand audio, which is what happens on air that is repurposed in a digital space. So to me, they are two very different things. I think some people would probably argue with that, but I listen to a lot of podcasts and they're designed for people that are listening in these 60-minute chunks of time, whereas in a radio space, we think about everything in a quarter hour. So I think when you're looking at it in that way, if you want to have a podcast, develop a podcast, make it more niched, make it less about hitting everybody and more about what is your DJ interested in? What is one of your business partners interested in, and have that conversation and do that research and really set aside a podcast that can then also be added in on airspace. Miss this podcast, catch it every Sunday at 10 o'clock on XYZ channel. And then vice versa in the opposite direction. If you've got a morning show, take that morning show, remove the music from the audio, load it onto your site, missed a show, catch the show on demand on xyz.com, and just pulling it in those two places. And you can sponsor both things in both places. So essentially having like 4 different sponsors or a higher price point for 2 sponsors.
Yeah. And what we do is when we get like on-demand bits, what we use this site called Acast, and when you upload your audio, you can also make video clips for socials. So it'll transcribe it for you, and then you can just take whatever that is. You can put photos of your on-airs, you can put photos of cats, whatever it is, and you can just it'll spit you out this video with your captions going, and you can brand it and use it on your socials. And it's a quick and dirty way to kind of give people a little snippet into what that on-demand audio piece is going to look like, and you can just drive them to the website or your app or wherever.
And just to echo what you were both saying as well, I think really the main differentiator is that with on-demand audio access content, that's really for people that likely love one of your morning shows or something, or can never get access to it. Extending the value of the content that you create is so important because you guys work so hard to do it. And clearly it really resonates with your audience, and is one of the main reasons why people listen to radio. So giving them a way to connect with that content on their terms and kind of on demand is really where the market is leading as to how they engage with content. And so giving your listeners that option is incredibly important. Whereas podcasts I find are, extremely more niche, and directed to a more targeted audience. But, like Kay was saying earlier, if you can get 40 people to subscribe to a podcast, you can monetize that. You don't need tens of thousands of people or thousands of people or listeners. If you have a consistent download base of even 40 or 50, that's something you can go and sell for a few $100 a month.
I'd say too, just to add to that really fast, I would also say something that you can do in a broadcast space is have that like additional segment, right? If you've got a morning show that's on air from 5 to 9, ask them to take one thing that they were talking about that they didn't have enough time to talk about and turn it into one extra segment. It doesn't have to be an hour. It can be 10 minutes. It can be 15, 20 minutes. And that can be specialized content for members only, or members of that morning show fan club, or maybe it's an afternoon piece or an interview, and the interview you did with somebody, you put 5 minutes of it on air, but you actually have 10 minutes of it. So here's this additional 5 minutes that you can only get online. So offering up that exclusivity that people really, really gravitate towards, especially the diehard fans of your shows. And those are always going to be your quality over quantity. I think we have a tendency to look at things and be like, oh, it's 10,000 people. It's great. 10,000 people listened and don't care. It's really great when 100 people listen and they all care.
Absolutely. One of the other questions that I think a lot of broadcasters had submitted in one way, shape, or form, is how do we deal with buyers and advertisers that see digital radio or digital advertising as just freebies or add-ons with the terrestrial side, and they it's just like, oh, I'm already buying the spots, just like what's a banner? A banner doesn't cost you anything on the website, just throw it in. How do we attribute the value that the digital inventory deserves?
Show them the numbers. That's exactly why we switched our rates to a CPM model. Because before we didn't have that. It was like, you know what? I can't tell you why this ad costs $200. And now I can say, well, the reason that this ad costs $200, the reason this ad costs $400 is because you on average get this many impressions every month. And based on the previous ads that we've had, this is your click-through rate. And these are the people that you're reaching. So if you're not collecting data, collect data and utilize that data to your advantage. And if a person is still coming to you and saying, well, it should be an add-on, well, then we'll remove it from the package, and you can just purchase the broadcast side of things and watch really fast when they want the digital side of things as well, because it's not enough. Devalue yourself or your product.
No, I agree with you entirely, and it all comes down to analytics and numbers, and really, build a few case studies. Run a few digital campaigns for a few of your better customers if you don't have analytics on any of them already to prove the numbers. Give it to them for free for a month and show them the lift that they get and the type of engagement that these ads get, and then watch how they will attribute value to that once you show them the numbers.
We did this like internally, where we have a podcast with just like myself and a coworker, and we took all of our website data, our visitors, all of it, and we ran radio campaigns. And then we took the difference between what we had before radio and after, and it's like you can hear.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Shout out to the Babes of Printy podcast, by the way. Download it; it's amazing.
We did the same things with one of our advertising partners. We pitched a bunch of stuff to them. They originally wanted everything that they pitched, including a sponsorship of our stream, our website stream. And then they came back and were like, hey, our corporate budget was cut. We really want to do this, but we can't do this. Is there a way that we can do this? And we ended up, just because we were like, man, we know that they want this. And it's not a ton of time on task. It's not a ton of operational dollars for us to make this kind of a test case for them for like 3 months to then show them the numbers and then hopefully get them back on. And if they buy it, great. If they don't, this has been unsold for over a year. So what's it killing us to do? We just really want to sponsor on this thing. So we ended up doing that. And then they ended up coming back and they loved the numbers. They were able to work through corporate for 3 months. And then their fiscal budget started 3 months later. So they ended up purchasing the sponsorship for a year, and we're getting ready to sign them back on again. And it's brought us in, I mean, if I can do the math really fast in my head, another $26,000 a year in one sponsorship. So it happens. It's possible. Sometimes giving that freebie is worth it. Sometimes it's not. It was worth it in this case because this is a sponsor that already spends, a significant amount of money with us. We're not going to do that for the person who drops $500 a month and wants the world, but someone who's already spending 10 grand a month. It's worth it to try to get them to spend another 2,500. You know what I mean?
Absolutely. Okay, awesome. I think we got time for one more here. And I think this is, again, this is relevant to the majority of, I know SOCAST partners in general, but, most broadcasters, we are an independent station. How do I position our group or our station amongst my competitors with everybody out there that's looking for digital? How do I set myself apart?
We just lean into being like local. We live in this community, we work in this community, we buy from your business, like as people, and so do all of our staff. And it's like if you're calling us, like you're getting a hold of us, like we live here. So that's really what's kind of worked for us.
Mm-hmm.
But we are a smaller market, and we know a lot. I run into clients all the time when I'm just like leaving the office, or if I'm going for dinner or wherever. But yeah, leaning into just being like, hey, we're locally owned. Do you want to buy local digital, like local, radio, local broadcast? Like that's what's worked for us.
Yeah, we really lean into the relationships. When you have, like Kay said, being local, when you have a sales rep that actually lives in the community and can stop by your office and grab a cup of coffee with you or have a lunch with you, and it's going to pay more attention. It's the old line, like you're not just a number, you're an actual person. We lean into those relationships and make sure that once we promise something, we're not just delivering, we're over delivering on that promise. They will come back every single time because of that. As long as they're seeing value in what they're purchasing, they're going to come back. And then I would also say that getting them to work through one person and saying like, oh, you can have 5 sales reps call you for 5 different places, or, let us try. Like, great, you've been running this display tactic and an OTT and a streaming audio tactic with this other company. Let us take the display tactic real fast. Let us do it for 6 months and see if our service is better or the same. And if it's the same, then great. Then we're offering the same products and you're getting the same results for the same cost. And now you're only working with one person, but 99.9% of the time it's going to be better. So come work with us, try that one thing and you'll try another one. We did that with a local bank, and I think the first year they spent like 20 grand with us, and then the second year it was like 60, and now they're at 100 a year, just in DSP programmatic advertising. And we're probably going to grow them again next year because they're already trying new tactics. So it's just that build and realizing it's not going to happen overnight. It takes time, and it's a build of relationships.
And it
No, and
saves them tons of time too, because then you already have like their campaign, and you can make all the messaging like cohesive. It makes so much more sense to be able to be the one-stop shop for all of their marketing needs.
Absolutely. And as long as the salespeople can go out and tell that story and connect those elements between the traditional and digital, I mean, the relationships that broadcasters have with their advertising partners, I mean, these are relationships that span, into the decades usually. So this, they trust you implicitly. They know that you know their market and that you know what they're looking for, who their customers are. Just go in and ask for the business. You're already getting some of it. They trust you. So, as long as you can offer the product and speak to it intelligently and come in at a competitive price, odds are the business will be yours when you walk out that door.
Mm-hmm.
Anyhow, ladies, I truly thank you for joining me today on this webinar. Your insights have been invaluable. Thank you so very much. Hopefully all the attendees got a ton of value out of it. We will be sending out a recording afterwards to everybody. In the event that you are looking for a new partner to help you manage your digital ecosystem, your websites, your mobile apps, programmatic revenue, reach out to SoCast. My email is elan@socastdigital.com, or just go to www.socastdigital.com and click on Talk to an Expert. We've got me and my team here are more than happy to help you.